Hi guys, I am the Dao King, and over the past few weeks, Sphere's finance has made a lot of big changes. In fact, they've gone from being a rebase token to being deflationary. A lot of you guys have asked me to kind of cover it and give you better understanding of it, and I'm here doing it now. Now, I didn't ever own any Sphere finance until today. I bought a small amount, you can see about $4.59. And the reason I bought it was because I saw in the announcements, they still said we're going to keep the buy and sell tax, but I didn't believe it because it didn't make a lot of sense. I was really confused why you would keep it when your token no longer rebases. The buy and sell tax was there as a way to help the protocol when it was rebasing. But when you're not rebasing now, why are we paying a buy and sell tax? That part of it has me a little bit worried because now I need to make up 33%. If you look at this buy and sell tax, actually a little bit more, because you're also going to have to pay trading fees, probably about 34%, maybe even 35%, who knows, depending on if there's, any slippage or stuff like that. So any higher slippage or stuff like that. So 35%. So if you put in $10,000 in Sphere, you need to make back $13,500 in gains to break even. Does that sound good to you? No rebase. You're just hoping that they buy, but you're like, oh, they're going to buy back so many tokens and it's going to go down. It's going to go back up. Okay. It's fair. It's a fair argument. But however, why should I be paying a 35% tax or a 33% tax or whatever I need to pay? I mean, it's a little ridiculous. So let's look at this announcement. Let's see how fast they're burning, because it really comes down to how fast the tokenomics work. So just a couple days ago on the 9th, which was 3 days ago, they said they burned 4.7% of circulating supply. And this is not accounting for all burns, just one contract. So that means there's more happen. And now their total supply is 8.8 billion tokens. I would say that's a pretty good job. I'd like to know a few more details about this. Over what period of time was this burned, accumulated, stuff like that. Little details, just little ones, Just try to get a little bit better idea. They kind of went into all, their Discords where everything's happened. They have a lot of members, 32,000. Listen, they call themselves the S&P 500 of crypto. So that's pretty big. I mean, I haven't seen anything really reason for them to call themselves that, if they understand what the S&P is, but it's cool. It's good marketing. They have great marketing. They have great colors. I like it all. It's very done right. And they got cool names like Penrose and Dystopia on the other projects, which they're going to use the profits from those projects to help burn more Sphere. The concept is great. However, I just want to point out a few things. I'm not saying it's going to be successful or unsuccessful. I'm going to try to get there with you guys to collectively together. And please understand, I am not a financial advisor, and I'm only here to give you guys terrible advice. So this is something we got to understand. Let's look at this. Tax has me worried. Number one. Then you bring up Sphere. What is the market cap? $81 million. These are the number of tokens. You got Penrose, Dystopia. And then if you look at Dystopia, this is their graph. They just went to the market. So, it's about, what is it, 8 cents. It was as high as 45 cents and 13 cents. So, it's not doing great. It's not, I guess, not doing terrible. It's a new coin. It's in price discovery phase. Sorry, this is a dystopian token. This is Dystopia. This is Penrose, which also went public. Penrose's graph looks pretty dystopian. This is a dystopian graph. The fact it trades on dystopian exchange makes a lot of sense, because this is not good in any ways whatsoever. There isn't much volume on it. There's not much trading on it. I don't think there's much trading on this one. Oh, 36,000 is all decent. What actually surprised me about Sphere over the last couple of months is how low the trading volume has been compared to Titano and Seifu and all the other rebase tokens. It's been lower for some reason, and I really didn't understand why, but it is what it is. It just doesn't have as much of a trading going on, daily trade. But on a rebase token, you need that daily trading because you use those taxes to buy back the tokens and to increase your burn and increase your liquidity pools and all the good stuff. So I was a little surprised about that. It leaves them in a weaker position. 160,000 daily volume, which they're getting right now, isn't terrible. It's just not great for how many holders they have. I'd like to see more volume, because more volume they generate, faster they're going to be able to burn, because they're charging 33% taxes. However, are people going to be willing to pay those taxes if they're not getting a rebase? That's really what to me is kind of concerning. I believe the rebase is stopped like right around here. So a little bit of a sell-off, and it is what it is right now. So let's talk about, what do we think? Do we think this is going to go higher? Do I think it's going to go higher? This is Dystopia. It's a cool looking exchange, actually. I don't know if I'd name my exchange Dystopia. I don't know. So there's a few things that kind of bother me about Sphere from the beginning, by the way. And one of them is a number of tokens they had. So Sim, who is their dev, and he is highly regarded in the community, but he made a couple critical errors, which are not, they shouldn't have happened, in my opinion. One of them is they started out with a circulating supply that was really high. It started like with 1 billion tokens. Now you can see it went all the way to 8.8 billion, and it was over 9 till they did that burn. My question is, if you're such a genius that everyone says you are, which a lot of this is possibly marketing and hype, of course, but if you are that genius, you would know in a rebase token, you don't want to start out with too many tokens. You want to start with smaller amount of tokens, and you want to accelerate the burn, especially early on. You want to buy back early on, and they weren't doing any of that. They started with a lot of tokens, and they weren't really buying back that early on, aggressively at least. So that's just simple math. If you know anything about rebase tokens, I've been in them for quite a long time, and I've studied it, and you need to burn early on is where it helps the most when you burn, because you're taking that 1 token out of supply now that could become 2 tokens, 4 tokens, 8 tokens, 16 tokens, 32 tokens, 64 tokens in a month or 2 from now. You're stopping that. When you buy 1 token early, you're stopping this massive wave of inflation later on, where a burn wallet is basically incredibly helpful. So I didn't see that much of that going on. And then the other thing that kind of bothered me about them was that they did a whitelist, going public instead of doing a fair launch, where they could have got a lot more money, a lot more funding, and they could have expanded their operations a little bit faster. So they give a lot of money back to their holders, where the price pumped really high, but they really didn't benefit from it, except for obviously collecting some taxes early on. But what I would have liked to see is a little bit more attention to these small things, which become big things later on. A rebase token becoming deflationary is a big deal. But however, you got to understand, what were the steps to help it a month ago? Because there's things you can do before you become deflationary. Do I think it's a good idea that Sphere became deflationary? I do, because this number of tokens was going to become crushing. And they knew they couldn't go on for too much longer. Let's be honest. Sim at least understands the math part. But if he had started with fewer tokens, let's say 1 million or 10 million or 20 million or 30 million or 40 million, he could have gone on a little bit longer rebasing. But it is what it is. This is how he has set it up, and it is going on like this. Now, what could we see as far as the price of Sphere? So let's bring up the price of Sphere. Are they going to be able to burn? I'm going to take a wait and see approach. I'm not a fan of that tax. I'm not going to buy it, because in order for me to make money, this has to go all the way to like 1.3 cents. I bought a little bit because I was like so confused. I saw that they said that they are going to continue having tax, but it becomes really hard to make money when you have to go up literally from here. I would have to go up all the way here to break even. It's kind of hard. It's really hard. You got to burn a lot. And so far, let's see where their next burn announcement is going to be. I want to see these 8.8 billion tokens reduce rapidly. If they're only reducing it by and they said that their new UI is going to include the burns and all that stuff. So I'm going to follow that really closely. So if I see this 8.8 billion go to 8.7 billion in a month, that's not going to do it. Because I got to pay 30% tax. How long are you willing to wait till 30% of these tokens get crushed? That's the way you got to start thinking. You got to crush 30% of these tokens for you to get back to square number one, over 30%, 33%. So I want to see 33%. Give me a date. 30 days, 60 days. Are you willing to wait 90 days? How many days? Now, a lot of the stuff they're doing is really cool. The question is, will it burn enough? That's really it. That's really it. Right now, it's too early as far as I'm concerned. I would like to wait a little bit. I would like to give them about a month. And then I wouldn't want to come back and I want to do an update. I want to see what they do in the next 30 days. I want to see if Sim, with all these mechanisms in place, with all this great product he has created, and some of the things he's done is really cool. It's really advanced. It's really nice. Quantum liquidity and all this stuff. I understand why people think he's a genius, but he's missed some points, big points early on. He missed them. Why didn't he tell the team, listen, you're starting with too many tokens. The inflation is going to be too high. Make less tokens. Why didn't that happen? What was that conversation? I would have liked to be in the room in there and hear that, because these are big points. As far as the price going up, guys, Sphere has been all over the place, but this is a 30-day graph. Is it going to go up? It's going to be tough to really anticipate this, but it's really coming down to numbers, guys. This is really what everything I see here is really going to come down to just number crunching. That's it. How fast can they burn? That's what it's going to have to happen here. How fast can they burn tokens? If I see them accelerating the burn of their tokens, I'm going to go in. If I see their tokens are not being burned fast enough, if they're only burning, let's say, 1% a week, it's not fast enough, because then it would take over 30 weeks for the number of tokens to get back to where I would get my tax money equivalent out, right? If I'm seeing volume stay around 100,000 or less, then they're not creating enough tax revenues. However, I'm really shocked so many of you are willing to take a 35% haircut and get no rebase and go long term with them. I'm actually really surprised about that, by the way. I think we have time. I don't think you need to jump into Sphere right now. This is a bear market. I'm sure it'll change in the next 30 to 60 days, because we can't predict things. I can't predict things. Nobody can. But at the end of the day, the market conditions aren't the best, So I would take my time. I would wait for the team to announce the burns every week or month, however they're going to do it, and start to see, are they burning 1% a week? Is it accelerating the following week to 2% and the following week to 3% and the following week to 4%? How fast are the burns accelerating? Are the burns creating what we thought would happen, which is the price action would start to move up, and by how much? There's all sorts of little things we got to start looking at. The burns are going to basically be what dictates the price here. I personally right now am not willing to take a 33% haircut on this price of this token to get in, because I need to go all the way up to like I said, 13 cents, or a little bit less, about 12 cents, not 12 cents, 1.2 cents. But that just makes me even. That doesn't make me in the profit. I probably have to go up to like 14, 15, 16 to be in the profit. Or do you just go buy ETH at $1,200, $1,300 when it dips and hope it goes back up? Because there's no buy and sell tax on that. This becomes a whole argument, right? Am I going to pay a 33% buy and sell tax versus buying another asset like AVAX or even a layer one? Any layer ones like Ethereum or Bitcoin or anything like a shit token like Phantom, those inside joke. You guys get it? Okay. Don't worry. But there's no tax on it. So you can buy and sell it and go. Like right now, I only bought $5 because I just kind of wanted to see, because I was like, no, they can't be charging the tax. Oh, they're charging the tax. I looked at the blockchain. They're charging tax. It's crazy. So I would have liked to see them at least lower the tax. Keeping the tax at 33% doesn't make any sense. I think the tax needed to be lowered. You're saying, Dao King, how much should they lower it by? I think the tax shouldn't be more than 10%, maybe 15 at most, if you're going to implement a system that no longer has a rebase. To say that because the rebase is gone, we're going to keep the tax, it's tough. I think 10%, 15% range is where you need to be, because you're asking people to wait to get the 35% increase, 33 to 35% increase before they get even. That means they need to see 50, 60, 70% gains to make some money, like decent money. It's tough. That's why I'm not entering it. Watch those numbers, guys. That's really all this is. This is a math equation. Let's see if Sim can come through. A lot of you guys believe he can. So far, some of you guys have made money. Some of you guys have not. Depends how you traded this. Obviously, it's had some crazy swings. Early investors made boatloads, absolute boatloads of money. Just sickening, deafening boatloads of money. I'm going to try to talk about Sphere more in my own private Discord. I have my own private Discord. If you guys want to join, the link is going to be, I think, in this thing. It's the Dao King Discord. So I'm going to talk more about it. I think it's an interesting story. I'm going to be watching this a little bit closer. I'm going to be tweeting about it more on my Twitter, which you can also follow, because I think this is really interesting, because I am also an advisor on Titan, and they eventually will probably continue. They actually want to continue the rebase because they believe they can. Because why? What's the critical difference? The critical difference is they came out with a lot of utility at day one. So they've been burning really fast, really heavily, right? So having that ability early on allows you to go on longer, and also makes you think a little bit different, right? So the team over there is like, we want to be giving a rebase and deflationary long term, which is incredible, right? So that team is thinking a little bit different. Sim is thinking a little bit different. I'm just going to go deflationary. So I would be okay paying a tax on a token that could give me a rebase and could become deflationary at the same time. Could Sphere have done the same? Could there have been a middle ground? Why did they stop it now? Most likely because they're not burning enough right now. Maybe down the road they will. So that's a sign. That's something I've learned by being on the Titan team, that, you know, it's a sign that they're so optimistic about keeping the rebase, while Sphere is like, we're taking it away right away because we're going to be drowning in tokens because we'll never be able to catch up. So if you want my opinion, I don't think they're burning quite enough yet. Will they in the future? It's a possibility, but how far in the future? That really becomes the question. How far in the future? 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, a year, 2 years? It's to be seen. We don't know. Keep an eye on this data very closely. It's going to be really interesting. This is experimental stuff. All this stuff, incredibly experimental, extremely risky. But if you know what you're doing, or you get lucky, you can make some nice money, of course. All right, guys. Hope that was helpful. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.